Hello and welcome to Survivor Everything. I'm your host Liam, and we are finally in the home stretch of Australian Survivor Australia vs. the World. We have seen a crazy post-merge game, with it kicking in full throttle right when they all started living on the same beach together. I usually talk about each episode right after I watch them, but in order to get this video published before the finale, I'm going to talk about each episode 7, 8, and 9 as a whole. With all that, let's get right into these insane episodes.
8 are left. Who will be going home tonight?
Start things off, I was wrong about my final two, want. I was even wrong that it was going to be a final two, but I've never seen Australian Survivor before, but I had read on Australian Survivor player wikis that one of the players had lost a 2-7 vote to a single player at Final Tribal Council, so I thought it was a final two format by what that said, and for this being a 14-player, 16-day season, it made a lot more sense to me for it to be a final two, but I was wrong. No matter the semantics, Cass and Shaughnie are both not even making it to final three, let alone final two, so I was wrong about my final two predictions. And Cass was the first person out of 4 to be voted out in these 3 episodes. During episode 7, Tommy had won the immunity challenge, impressively I might add, because it seemed like a really hard challenge to begin with. But Tommy gets drunk on power after a single sip, because it turns him into a mad king thinking that necklace is a crown. Tommy decides this round, due to it being a 5-3 majority of World vs. Australia, that now would be the time to strike Parvati, since he is protected and the World players would still have the majority after. Cass, as we have all seen this season, is very skeptical of Parvati, and so Cass is along with the plan, and she hopes to make Parvati feel comfortable so Parvati doesn't play her idol. Lisa isn't all in on this plan though, but she is about working with their alliance and making it work for her, so Lisa tries to pull on other players that facilitate this move. Now I want to say that I find all this is Tommy's plan, and Cass is all over it, but Lisa is the first one to approach the Aussies about blindsiding Parvati, and it makes me wonder if Cass and Tommy were going to approach them at all. If they didn't, it's either a classic adage of really stupid or pure genius. Not approaching the Aussies potentially caused a 3-3 split vote, and most likely it's a tie between Parvati and Cirie, or Parvati and Cass, and that's not a guarantee here, especially if Parvati plays her idol. Now, maybe they don't talk to the Aussies at all, lull Parvati into thinking that they are super loyal with her, and she doesn't play her idol at all, and the internationals are able to convince the Aussies to vote with them to take out Parvati during the re-vote, but it's still not a guarantee. No matter the case, Lisa, in an attempt to make Tommy's move work best for her, is the first to approach Luke and Shaughnie, and brings them into the blind side, but announces that she will not be participating herself. I'm assuming she wants to stay face with Cirie and not destroy the relationship with her and Parvati, especially if the move doesn't go through, and more importantly, when Parvati's on the jury. This conversation is seen by Parvati and Cirie though, and Parvati is immediately sketched out, and that little caveat that Lisa adds at the end of the proposal turns Luke and Shaughnie against Lisa immediately, the complete opposite effect that Lisa wanted. I heard Cirie say something during one of these episodes where she said, "Kiss. Keep it simple, stupid." And I think the internationals needed to hear that before trying to execute this move. I will say that Cass has made Parvati feel so comfortable here by pretending to be loyal that Parvati doesn't think that Cass is going to flip. She's just worried about Lisa here. So the real crux of this move is Lisa approaching the Aussies in public, even though I think the move is just ill-timed and poorly thought out to begin with. I think the better move here is voting out Luke and saying that the vote is Shaughnie or Janine in order to weaken him and blindside him with his idol, but we will get to that later.
I don't trust Lisa. Are you tripping? She wants to do a blindside and not even be a part of it.
At Tribal Council, it takes seconds before it turns live, and secret conversations are being had in little groups. Parvati can tell by everyone's attitude and responses that her head is on the chopping block, and she isn't buying what anyone is selling. The internationals this round just can't play correctly for the life of them, as our spot gets blown up at Tribal Council, with Luke playing hard this whole round in order to gain some control in the game. Parvati pulls out her idol and shows it off, hoping to have it flash around and not actually... hoping only have to flash it around and not actually play it, with Parvati losing trust in Cass immediately, and then Luke talks to Parvati and Cirie, and Parvati wants Cass gone. Luke wanted Lisa gone, which is the wrong person to go for here, but he's got a vet like Parvati to steer the vote in the proper direction. Lisa and Tommy will be on an island after this vote, and we will soon find out that it will just be Lisa on her own soon, and Cass is a bigger social threat and more importantly a challenge threat than the other two. They vote, and Cass, thinking the Aussies are targeting Lisa, which was the correct read if Parvati hadn't changed it for them, plays her idol on Lisa. Now, this is the start of a really weird, and I would even say awkward moments due to leniency from production that happened in these stretch of episodes. When Cass pulls out her idol here, Parvati pulls out her knowledge power advantage, goes to play it, and stops since Cass says she's going to play her idol on Lisa, not herself. Parvati, who is hesitant to put her own advantage away, has Cass plead that she is playing it on Lisa, and Parvati folds it back up and puts the advantage back in her pocket. While that Parvati was mid-sentence playing the advantage, and production just let her stop midway through since it would help her game now that she knows where that idol is being played for. That's not how it works. It should be played before Cass announces her idol, or right when she does, but not after announcing who it's going to be played for. And right when Parvati puts away the advantage, Cass should have screamed, "I'm playing it for myself," since Lisa isn't the vote clearly if Parvati is putting away the advantage once she thinks that you aren't trying to protect yourself with the idol. Cass is voted out 5-2 to 1, with Lisa voting the way Parvati and Sri wanted, showing that she is still loyal to them even after this move.
4 votes, that's enough.
Good
Bring
play,
your
guys.
torch.
Wow, that was great.
This move will come back to bite every international player in the ass, as they head in an immunity challenge right after Tribal Council to vote on another player. Luke wins this challenge, and Tommy is now in the hot seat after his plan to blindside Parvati was revealed. This vote is stupid simple. I'm not gonna lie. The Americans and Australians are gonna vote out Tommy, as he's won and was close to the last 2 immunity challenges, is conniving enough to orchestrate a coup, and has betrayed the trust of the Americans. And Luke needs Suri, especially Parvati, around his shields, and no one will work with Lisa after Tommy is gone. There are so many reasons to get rid of Tommy here, it's very plain and simple. The craziest thing about the Tribal Council is Lisa volunteering to quit in order for the round to be over, and Tommy would stay since he was the clear target, but Jonathan informs her that this is not Survivor Palau, and that has no precedent here. If she quits in the post-merge, it will result in Lisa not being on the jury, and the round will continue as normal, enticing her to stay in the game since it'll be for naught. Tommy sent to the jury here, and I just watched in 50 minutes all 3 international players crash and burn their games, and turn the game into a 3-3 tie between Aussie and World players, hurting the chances for their former tribe mates as well. And Lisa, the only remaining international player, has lost the respect of all the other players who were double dealing, and I'm sure after threatening to quit at the final 7 with a few days left behind, has tanked any chance of her winning, even if she got to final 3.
I bet I'm one of the only player in this game who had left the camp with immunity necklace on their neck and still going home at the end of the night. What happened?
Go home, Tommy.
Speaking of Lisa, this episode is great for giving her screen time. That's because she's the next member of the jury at the end of it. Now, Lisa wants to come off as a threat here, filled with ambition and revenge, wanting to take the game over in memory of her fallen Alliance members. But she has no social capital to make a move, and we know this. Lisa at the start of the episode is trying to talk to Luke, and have him get on her side for a vote to take out an American, most likely Parvati, but he doesn't want to work with her. Lisa, in another poor game move, says that no one will take him to the end, so he should just side with her instead of Parvati, but then he just correctly calls out that no one includes Lisa in that, so she doesn't want to take her to the end either. Lisa just needs to be willing and dealing final 3 proposals at people to try and secure a spot for these next 3 rounds, but she's going about it all wrong. Parvati also doesn't trust her, and for good reason. Lisa's telling the truth when she says to Parvati that she wasn't voting for her that last round, but Lisa still knew about the blind side and was just going to let it happen, and she has no real rebuttal for this.
So, best course of action for me is to wait tomorrow and see who comes up to me, see what the story is, try and get some more information, and see where I can slot into people's plans, and then them up.
The immunity challenge looks like some version of Smotion, a challenge Luke lost in 4th place during another season he had played. Again, it's not a puzzle, and the 2 older, less physical ladies in Sri and Lisa are out first. And the challenges all season definitely favor more athletic players and no wiggle room for anyone else. The last player standing is Luke, and the clear vote is Lisa now, the same target discussed before the challenge. Back at camp, Luke, knowing Parvati has knowledge of power, decides to tell her about his idol, which I think is the worst move he could have done here, but in hindsight, it works out. Luke telling Parvati about his idol is a sign of faith, since he has told no one else about it, and Parvati could easily steal it from him, but he wants to work with her, and this is his olive branch. This way they can just vote out Lisa this round for an easy vote, and then both him and Parvati have an idol for final 5, and they both secure a final 4 spot. Parvati should just steal this idol from Luke, or do nothing at all, but she does the worst possible thing and caves into Luke's demands and rips up her advantage, leaving Luke in control of this idol for the next round. Luke is even baffled by this, and I'm sure Parvati just gave up this advantage, since she could have stole it and gone to rocks, or convinced Shawnee to flip on the Australians and make it a 4-2 on Janine, but instead, she rips up a huge source of power in the final 6 of this game. At Tribal Council, it's a clear unanimous vote against Lisa, and she is sent to the jury after overplaying the previous 2 rounds, and seeming really sketch about it. Lisa's demeanor comes off as unsure and lacking confidence in all her game moves, and it really turns people away from wanting to work with her that wasn't her original Internationals alliance. I wish we would have got more screen time from Lisa, since I found her enjoyable, and I liked her the most out of all the Internationals, but she laid low too much for this game until she tried to make moves, and each of those moves' last 2 episodes were a detriment to her game that got her voted out due to them.
Lisa being voted out tonight causes me to lose one of my trusted allies. Lisa going home is damn near like Parvati going home. But I just have to consider my path to the end.
The last episode before the finale, and it's a strong final 5 we have here. I know everyone is sleeping on Janine, thinking she is the weakest player here, but she has played from the bottom extremely well, and was even able to convince Cirie to vote out an ally in Kirby during the final 9, and was a part of this huge game flip and correctly voted in the final 8, 7, and 6 round as well. Parvati and Luke are two of the biggest threats left on the board, so a Shani, Janine, and Cirie final 3 would be the best for those players, but this is where the duo conundrum comes to play. Luke and Janine have been tied to the hip all game, with each other playing on a different season as well, with this being the exact same situation between Parvati and Cirie. This leaves Shani on the outs, and though she is a major swing vote for either party, this also means that she has no real allegiance towards either party and could turn on them at the final 4, while it's a way more predictable final 4 round if you just have a 2v2 and 2 duos. At the Immunity Challenge, Luke wins his 3rd immunity in a row, and it's looking better and better for the Internationals had just stuck with the World Triber in the final 8 and at least voted Luke out before trying to cannibalize each other and destroying their games. Back at camp, Parvati and Cirie are worried about him, but Parvati realizes that Luke hasn't told anyone else about his immunity idol, not even his closest ally Janine, and this is the type of crack that she is looking for. Parvati goes to Janine and tells her this, and Janine goes straight to Luke and asks if he has an idol. This is good from Janine, as she doesn't just run with this info, she goes straight to her ally to confirm if this info is real or not, and when her ally lies to her, she just pretends to believe it and will use it to strategize, not freak out. Like I said, people are sleeping on Janine, since I think she has played a great social and strategic game by the merge onward. Shani is pitching to Janine and Luke that it should be Cirie, and that they go into the final 4 as a 3-1 Aussie majority and go to the final 3 together. Shani's only hope here is to be a swing vote. I've already discussed the pros and cons of that plan with the duo conundrum going on.
Right now, I'm the most powerfulest player in the game. I've got an idol still and an immunity. So if I want, I can make a crazy move tonight. Here we go.
At Tribal Council, there's potential for this wild vote of mind games and bluffs, with one side coming out on top victorious and the other side being left on the island by themselves. Or it can be a clear 4-1 vote out of Shani, leaving the duos to fight each other at the final 4. I will say that this vote and the 2 beforehand were extremely predictable, but they are correct moves to make with the most amount of risk aversion possible, so I cannot blame the group for making them. Luke wearing the Immunity Challenge necklace around him gives it to Janine to show her that he wants to be at the end with her, and is securing a spot in the final 4, as long as she can secure a spot in tie Firemaking Challenge if you can't win the next Immunity Challenge. This is flashy in front of the jury, and I like giving up your immunity necklace and putting on the idol more than just giving Janine the idol. I think it's just a flashier move, and it just seems stronger for some reason. He then puts his immunity necklace on around his neck, and so does Parvati, with both of them bluffing to play it on themselves or their respective partners. This is where things can go wild. I also believe that Parvati and Cirie should just voted for Luke, and Parvati plays her idol for Cirie, since no one believed that Parvati would play it for herself at the final 5 as the biggest target on the board, and that's what makes this move even better. It would be a mind game between Luke and Parvati, and I think Parvati has a clear advantage in it, but instead, we get an even more awkward moment for production as they allow Luke and Parvati to play their idols for each other, but they aren't forcing them to say who they're playing their idols for, and because they're both scared of being burned, we just get this moment of the two of them waiting for the other to say a name first. I saw some people saying this moment was cute or fun, but I find it baffling that production doesn't have a more iron hand when it comes to playing these advantages, especially since they are game warping, and even more wild that Jonathan asked Parvati who she has played her idol for first, giving Luke the clear advantage against her for no good reason. This entire moment was just off from production and Jonathan, and the rules for playing these idols and advantages need to be more clear so moments like these aren't happening every time one is played. With the round being played safe though, Shani is voted out 4-1, leaving 4 players to fight for 3 spots at the final Tribal Council. The last 3 episodes were fun to watch, but the gameplay from every player here other than Cirie, Shani, and Janine was actually quite baffling. Paranoia must have set in hard for every other player here, since every move committed by them was very questionable, and it seemed to hurt them on the surface, even if it didn't come back to bite them, like Luke revealing his idol to Parvati. With the International Alliance being sent to the jury back to back to back, and Shani being sent there right afterwards, it really only left the cast boot to be a shock, but the following 3 vote-offs were pretty predictable all things considered. The edit did a good job trying to mask around it, but still, the predictability was there. No matter the poor gameplay though, it was a lot of fun to watch, even if my final 2 predictions were wrong by the end. If you made it this far and enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe, as it helps the channel out a lot. And let me know your thoughts on these 3 episodes in the comments below. Everybody grab your torches, I'll see you in the next one.